Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at energy fuels. It is time for another update, and today we'll be discussing the implications of the decline we have seen here in the shorter time frame today, as well as the likely scenarios that could still work out from this area for a fifth wave to still work out in a more direct fashion. But before we get there, I would like to go quickly through the larger time frame for any of you who might be new. And here we are basically tracking from the all-time low, a 1-2 setup, where this would be expected to form a third wave to the upside. Now, as I was mentioning in many of the previous videos, within such an expectation we would be looking for around the $130 level to be reached within this actual wave 3 to the upside. And while it isn't necessarily a problem, it is a very high risk that we will not manage to get there within this fifth wave to the upside alone. Sure, this could work out as a 1-2 setup itself here, and it could still form such a strong movement to the upside, but as it is more in line with the broader market expectations as well, I wouldn't necessarily bet here on an additional, even stronger third wave to the upside. And what that means is one of two things basically. Either we form here a 5-wave move to the upside in an additional wave 1 that could be a wave 1 of a much larger wave 3, and we look for a follow-up correction in a wave 2. Yeah, this is if we fail to get to those ideal targets for the wave 3, or in an even more bearish interpretation, we could be expecting here a larger ABC pattern to be unfolding, in which case we should be prepared for a retracement that could easily take us even below the beginning of this entire uptrend that has been going on in this last year. Yeah, we could face lows even below those levels, below the $3.2 level could be seen in such interpretations. Now, with that said, I'm not yet taking off the table the possibility of having such a strong extension in a more direct fashion, but we need some evidence, and for now, what we have here as the most reliable pattern is this idea of a 1-2 complete, a third wave complete, fourth wave possibly complete, and then a fifth wave that could be ongoing. And what is positive, however, is that very likely in all of these interpretations we are looking for another high. Yeah, even in the more bearish scenarios, we would still like to see an additional high to be formed within this area. And in that case, we can move here into the shorter time frame. And we already had quite a strong third wave that has formed to the upside. I am not necessarily looking for any other interpretation than having this third wave actually complete, where this wave 4 might have completed. We do have a full count. We were tracking this movement to the downside quite accurately, and yeah, we were prepared for a more direct push to the upside once we had formed this additional low within this area. Yeah, we had the possibility to bottom in this direct movement to the downside in a larger wave A, and then a wave B and a wave C, but yeah, sure, we got another leg down. We were still prepared for continuation higher. Now, with that said, however, we only have a 3-wave pattern that has formed here to the upside from the current local low that we have here in the wave 4, which, well, it isn't impossible to form the larger structure in the wave 5 to the upside with such a movement. Yeah, in the end, it could even form a larger ending diagonal within this wave 5, where this could be an ABC pattern in a wave 1, and then sure, we get a retracement in wave 2, and then another ABC pattern in a wave 3, and so on. Yeah, it could form an ending diagonal within the wave 5, so it is not impossible to still push directly higher from these movements, from these structures, but it does bring into question the reliability of these patterns. Now, we also face here significant resistance in this area between the $16.5 all the way up to the $23 level. We have already faced some scrutiny here at the 38.2% retracement where we got initially rejected, and we can also focus here on the largest structural resistance levels between around the $18 level, even here all the way up to maybe we can allow the $19 level, and we have some additional structural resistance here in this area between the $22 level all the way up to the $23.3 level. And with that said, here in the previous video, we were focusing on a possible larger 5-wave move that could be formed here, or could have been formed here within this third wave to the upside, that hasn't necessarily fully failed. Yeah, it isn't, this interpretation isn't invalidated yet, but we haven't necessarily held too well here the area of support, and we should be prepared for further continuation lower. This wouldn't necessarily be a high probability interpretation in my opinion anymore, and I would be prepared for an even deeper retracement where this structure to the downside doesn't look quite done. Yeah, it looks like we could easily form additional lows, and I have also been tracking here a trend line in this area, which already has 3 touch points that have proven to form resistance levels. Yeah, much weaker in this latest touch point, and we managed to break above it, and now we are using it as support, but it is still yet to be seen if we manage to form directly continuation higher from this area, because as I was saying, in this small time frame, we are looking for a 3-wave structure to form a correction. Yeah, if we see a larger 5-wave move to the downside, well, that would be a pretty significant warning sign, but so far no signal of such a pattern forming. And I want to focus specifically on 2 things here, actually maybe 3 in the smaller time frame. So first is this idea of a 1-2 setup. Could still work out, not a high probability though, since yeah, this structure doesn't look like it's done yet. It could easily form additional lows, and for that I would be watching here on the small time frame the area of resistance for a possible 1, 2, 3 that has formed to the downside, maybe here a 4th and then a 5th. And I have to say, possibly not even this movement itself is necessarily done. I could see it extend as well, where I would expect here to hold below the 50% retracement in the case of such a direct push to the downside still within this wave 3, where yeah, we have pushed nearly to the last level of resistance. But if we are to look for a more reliable area of resistance to watch out for, I would look here all the way up to the $15 level, where a break here above the $15 level would be a signal to me that this structure does have a better chance of actually having already formed a low, where we could start looking with higher likelihood for continuation directly higher. Then we do, and we are able to still track this area of support for a potential 1-2 setup, but as I was mentioning, it is not necessarily a high probability if we form especially additional lows. And I want to caution you to watch out for a large support area, since yeah, this one has already been broken once. It was brief, but still it has been broken, and we need to be very careful and prepared at this point. So I am considering here a potential ABC structure, in which case it would be a full pattern, could be a wave 1, could be a wave A, and in that case I would be watching out for a much larger area of support here between the $14.7 all the way down to the $12.9 level, where so far we have pushed here perfectly into the 50% retracement before getting this initial larger reaction to the upside here in the small time frame. And for that, we will currently be tracking this in a potential ABC movement, and honestly, I will be tracking this in a blue interpretation, not in yellow, because in the yellow scenario we are tracking further continuation lower within this resistance area. Yeah, this could work out even within a bullish implication. Yeah, this could work out even within the green scenario as well as the white interpretation. And for now, there really isn't much else to be said. We are still watching closely to see if we get still further extensions lower, and so far we can take a quick peek here on the 5-minute time frame, but nothing too reliable seems to have formed so far. We only have 3 waves up in this area, and if I were to be watching for a potential area of support for a wave 4, we could be looking here potentially, yeah, let me actually copy this. We could be looking here potentially at the levels. Okay, the copy didn't work, apologies, and give me a moment, but at the levels between the $14.6 all the way down to the 61.8% retracement at the $14.4 level. So again, we can even leave this area of support alone, because we have here the 78.6% retracement that still seems to be providing the last level of support, even for a potential here 5-wave move to the upside that could still be allowed. And for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.